Okay, let me do a part 10 talking about my spiritual experiences in the awakening, and this one will be about ascension. Now these aren't going to be like highly detailed. I'm just speaking off of the top of my head. Like I said, I think I could share more like what I see in my I think I could share. I'm considering um, doing like a little like a dream log and sharing some of my dreams. I can't share all of them, but I mean I can share some. I can't share all of them because it's just far too much. But then some stuff I don't want to share. But this will be about ascension, and I'll talk about. I've already mentioned this, and that's what I figure I'll uh, do a little log about it. No, I only got 45 minutes of space on my phone. I don't think I'm going to take 45 minutes. I'm just going to take a few here. No, I've been logging my ascension timeline, my rebirth timeline of events since last September. And I mentioned this, and I'm gonna redo this too because I'm getting a lot more clear about like what actually happened. Hold on, let me set up my phone so I'm not holding it in my hand. Trying to get this to work here. There we go. All right, so this was like last September, and I was already like halfway through like a year of the first year of all of the curses like coming down on me, and it was just like it just picked up speed like in it was like a few curses because I had broken every curse. Every day I completely fucking broke free. Um, all the work I've done, all the spiritual work, all the soul work, all the recovery work, all the transformational work, everything, everything, everything. Done every fucking like inch, every fucking square inch of my own personal work. 16 years. 16 years it took me. 13. Because 13 years I was like officially like on the path. Like when I realized like, oh, this is my fucking soul's work. Like my soul was on the line. I could realize my soul was on, my life was on the line. So I was like, fuck this, and because I was already like on this path for like 6 years recovery. I was already in recovery for like 6 years. Well, 12 years. 12 years. 12 years on the soul journey. Soul work. Like I gave it all in. I put everything in. Put my soul into it. So the awakening doesn't just happen, Like it's not like all of a sudden you're, dealing with something and then you're like ascended. Okay, ascension and awakening are two different things, and the awakening happens in layers. Right? Some of us are like already awake, like kind of we're already like kind of like we have a deep sense of awareness, like a deep sense of self, a deep sense of like inner knowing, deeply intuitive inner knowing. Like, from very early age, and for me it was like I had received a call when I was 14, and I had to recall that memory too, because I had forgotten about that. And I was like, doing some really deep meditation, self-reflection. When I had realized, I'm like, damn, I did receive a call too, didn't I? Yeah, it was like it was like the first call I ever received. It was like this dream, and the phone was ringing, and I picked up the phone. Hello. And then like on the other end, it was like, blah 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 blah. It was like some people talking. It was like a person talking, but it was like multiple people talking. And I was like, what the fuck? And I'm listening deeper, right? And I'm listening deeper, trying to understand what they're saying. I got no fucking clue what the fuck they're saying, and I'm like, but I never hung up the phone. I never hung up the phone. That's so funny. That was like when I was like 14. It's fun. It's fucking weird. It's weird. So anyway, all this work, all this time, like officially it was, 3 years into my recovery. And then another 3 years went by. I had like broken open like this deep layer of like trauma, And then it was, basically like 12. I'll have to write down that timeline because I've been going through it over and over and over, and I'm like, I can't recall the timeline. I'm gonna have to write that down. But I made sure to write this year's timeline down. This is just 1 year, and now I'm talking about the timeline over the course of 18 years now. I've been in recovery this long. Like I'm 44. So like I'm being initiated, right? So the timeline is not just a timeline of my rebirth, because I've been reborn. I was saved. Like my soul was saved. I was pulled out of hell, pulled out of like a prison, like a pit of hell. I'm gonna share that dream too. I'm gonna share that because I'll never fucking forget it. I'll never forget. Like I'll share that one. There's a couple dreams that I've had, and these are like dreams. They weren't like me traveling, but it was like me just experiencing, because the dreams are when you're going into like the ethereal realm, it's different things are happening due to different, you're going into like a multi-dimensional space, right? So like different things are happening and they're caused by different people and triggered by certain events. So maybe I'll do a little dream log. I'm gonna do a little dream log and share some of my dreams and journeys and travels, because now I'm just like traveling. Now I just go into. Well, I think I've had a couple dreams lately. I'm like, damn, it's been a while since I actually had a dream. So I finally had a couple. I'm like, okay, that was a dream. It's like, it's still the same place. But it's trigger. What happens to you is dependent upon like your conscious condition, or like what God determines, what God decides for you. God's plan for you. Okay, so it's going to be different for everyone, but the experience is the same. Like, and you're gonna you can take control. It just depends about raising your consciousness. So the timeline is about the timeline of awakened consciousness, ascension timeline, rebirth timeline, spiritual journey timeline. It's a couple different timelines, because people talk about timelines, but they don't specifically reference like what timeline, and then they're like, we're time leaping or whatever. They're timeline jumping. We're always timeline jumping because we're traveling through like multi-dimensional layers of ourself, and then we're traveling through like dimensional layers of existence. Okay, dimensional layers, planes of existence, right? Heaven, the ethereal realm, hell. And what happens in the ethereal realm, the spiritual plane of existence, is determined of like causes of action, right? It's the nature of the universe. It's one of the laws of the universe, right? Cause and effect, right? For every action is an equal and opposite reaction, or response. Right? Well, it could be a reaction or it could be a response, right? One is unconscious, one's conscious. So what depends on your consciousness. It's about raising the consciousness, right? Raising your consciousness, right? And we're all like assisting in this process of developing the psychic powers, psychological framework, right? I got a course that teaches you how to develop your psychological framework, and it primes you for recovery. It primes you for the spiritual path towards your ascension, right? If it's for you. I don't know if it's for you or not. It may not be. It's not for everyone, right? Likely, if you're listening and you're watching, it's for you. Okay, so it's not. It's just not for everyone. It's not. We're not all raising the consciousness of everyone, right? The work that I do and you do assists in the future timelines of these people coming into consciousness where they can soul travel, they can get their light body, they can break the curse of their own, but the work that we're doing breaks through, like chipping from the outer layers, all through the inner layers of people who are connected to this consciousness, right? To the universal mind. Get to the mind of God, God's consciousness. Okay, so it's very complex, it's very comprehensive. This is the spiritual matrix. This is the multi-dimensional layers of our existence. Okay, and I talk about this. I got a class that teaches you how to kind of structure your mind and your framework, prime you for like being able to receive and transmit, emit and receive, right, and transmute your whole inner dimension. Your whole psyche, your consciousness, as it relates to you, the one specific individual, right? So for you, the one specific individual, you're doing the work of thousands. You're doing the work that affects thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people. Right? So if you're here, if it's for you, if it's calling you, if you have an interest, if it's a fascination, there's something speaking to you, and you're somewhere in this process where you're kind of lost and you need to kind of find your way, right? It's your work that you're doing just on yourself. Just focus on yourself. You're not like trying to change the world. You're just trying to do your work. Okay, you doing your work is changing the world on the spiritual level. Right? It's changing the consciousness, the interdimensional layers of the subconscious of the one psyche of God. Okay. So that's very important too. When we're talking about the ascension, everything. When we're talking about the timelines, right? We're just always jumping timeline, which it's like, shit, maybe I'll get into that. I've been getting into a whole other fucking topic. I just wanted to share a little bit of my timeline there. Right? So 933. That's the number of the ascended master, ascended Jedi, all right? The Jedi, the Judah, the Jesus, the Yuval. Right, so there's a couple different names for it, right? It's Christ consciousness, okay? It's the consciousness of the ascended. So master number 33, okay? 9 is the highest level of completion, right? 369 is a cycle of completion. And it doesn't have to be in that order either. It could be 936, it could be 639, or it could be, in whatever order, it means the same thing. You're just, it's the cycle, right? 1, 2, 3, right? Holy Trinity. But each number means something specific too. So like 6 is like your earthly deeds, right? 6 is like your earthly material manifestations from the Trinity, which is 3, right? And then 9 is like this completion of a cycle between, mind, body, and soul, right? So like from the spiritual, mental to the physical, right? Spiritual, emotional, physical, right? We manifest with our hands, like our hands have power, right? Our mind, our hearts, our bodies, mind and body, soul and being, right? Like the entirety of our being is the vessel that emits and transmutes through this cycle of raising the consciousness and rebirthing and all this. And it's like your duty, like as a being here, right? They say, oh, certain people volunteered to be here. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think we're all volunteered to be here. Right? God decides. It's like as a soul, we volunteer, right? But then God decides like who's right and who's wrong for the job. So it's not just as simple as we've all volunteered to be here. It's not that simple. It's not because God has a plan, and He decides who's right for the plan and who's fit for the plan, who's doing what, So like that part I'm learning, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's not as simple as just volunteering here. You have to be fit for the job you're volunteering for, otherwise you don't qualify. Well, it's like qualifying for the military, or qualifying for a job position, right? You don't qualify, right? You burned your fucking chance to fucking be, you won't even get an opportunity to volunteer, I'd say. But then some people might be on this cycle where it's like, well, you volunteered 5 lifetimes ago, you still haven't fucking accomplished the mission, so back you go. Start over. Right. Back to hell you go. Right? Because ultimately, I think that's what it is, right? You get fucking tossed into the fire, right? You get into you're in this vicious fucking karmic cycle, or lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. You just don't fucking wake up. And I even, I'm questioning my own. I've been navigating my own journey. I'm like, what was it? People talk about past life regressions and all this shit. Don't even go fuck with people like that. You could do your own past life regressions. Don't go to no fucking quack fucking doctor pretending, these motherfuckers, you can be in some fucking satanic fucking cult circle. Next thing you fucking know. Fucking around, don't know what you're doing. They know what they're doing. And they know what they're doing, and they're practicing witchcraft. Fucking around with your fucking psyche and shit, and you're letting them. You can't just let anybody fuck around with your fucking psyche and your soul and your spirit and all that shit. You can't let motherfuckers. You can't. I've learned that. I've had to learn that lesson. I learned that lesson quick too. Because I'm no dum. I'm not a dummy. You can learn a lot from a dummy. Buckle your safety belt. Okay? So, I ain't no fucking dummy. I'll tell you that. 11/11. 11/11. Fuck yeah. So I don't know how much I want to go through, how much detail I want to go through here. I just wanted to share a few things, right? So, but September, like all last year, it was like 88, 88, 88, 88, 88. And I was already familiar with this number 88. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's the fucking infinite, right? 8 is the infinite, right? 8 is the number of the infinite. And it's the nature of the paradox of the universe, right? So what you give returns to you sevenfold, right? Everything that you give, everything that you invest in, time, space, energy, material, everything that you put into something is what you get out of it. That's like fundamental foundational principle, like one of the fucking like pinnacles, one of the principles that is the pinnacle of transformation, the pinnacle of recovery, the pinnacle of your spiritual journey. It's the absolute foundation. It's like one of the first principles you need to know. What you fucking invest into this shit is what you're gonna get out of it. So you put all the time, all the sacrifice. You have to sacrifice, make shit. You have to sacrifice your time and all this other bullshit that don't fucking matter. Sacrifice your fucking credit score. Sacrifice your fucking, a few extra dollars on your fucking paycheck, because that's hours of your day. Like when you exchanging hours for fucking like crumbs. Fuck the crumbs. Do the real work, because what you're gonna get in return, no matter how long it fucking takes you, is gonna be fucking 7 times what you're gonna receive in the time and energy that you lose, and what you receive in crumbs from, some employer versus, your fucking sovereignty. Okay, because we're talking about your sovereignty. You're not talking about nothing else but your fucking eternal life, your fucking immortal fucking soul. That's what we're talking about here. So, your rebirth into your ascension. And I don't know who does and who doesn't get to ascend. Right? I know right now that there's a handful of people, like right now, because I was in the room with them. There's only a handful of us. There's only a handful of us. And I had to come to the realization, you know, and because everyone's like, yeah, we're ascending and blah 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 blah. Hey, we're all ascending. You ain't all ascending. You motherfuckers ain't all ascending. There's only a fucking handful of fucking people ascending. Okay, there's only a handful of people that are fucking grid workers. It's very few, very few. And you know, I was thinking about this too, because like I just recently learned something about, like, you know, what the 144 is. You know, and you know, the whole idea was, you know, it's only 144,000 people. I don't think it's 144,000 people. It's the bloodline is of 12 disciples. Hold on a second. Hold on. All right, sorry, I had to pee. It's like staying well hydrated. So the bloodline is of 12 disciples, okay, 12 apostles, and there are 12 dimensions of a plane of existence, and of each bloodline. The bloodline is only one bloodline, and that's the bloodline of Christ. That's the 13, right? It's the 13th house, you know, whatever you want to call it. It's the one. It's the one and single house. You know, the King of Kings, right? Jesus. Amen. The source of eternal life, the Ankh. Or the Ak. Well, it's the Ark of the Covenant. Ark of the Covenant is what it is. They use in ancient Egypt, it was called the Ak, right? Akhenaten, right? And then it was Amen, right? The name of God is Amen, right? And we're human, right? The beings manifested of the hue, right? The aura, which is the eye of God, right? These are the Aramaics, Aravedics, and that is the eye of God, the eye of Horus, and the all-seeing eye, right? People are like terrified of it. They're like, oh my God, an all-seeing eye. Just fucking terror. Unbelievable terror. People ain't living in fear. People are living in absolute fucking terror. Right? Just complete fucking slaves, terrified. Right? You gotta be fucking mentally, psychologically, emotionally fit for this work. Okay? And you can get fit, right? It just takes a matter of time, right? You have to invest. What you put into this is what you're going to get out. So anyway, little history. My memory, recollected memory. A lot of these fake people are out here keep telling you plenty bullshit. just made up fucking stories and shit, you know, they create the narrative, right? All these famous people, you know, you watch Gaia TV, and I watch all these fucking people everywhere, and like, they're like, oh yeah, I have all the memories of the world, right? One dude, what's his name, Mateus, right? He ain't got all fucking, this is Satanism and shit. You fucking completely you know, and he's like 26, right? What is it, fucking like 26, like some kid? No, fucking think so. People are like, they're like, oh my god, he has the memory of the world, right? And he can create anything. He can say whatever the fuck he wants. Fuck out of here. Bullshit. Lie to your fucking face. You know, they create the narrative. That's the whole goal with the Zionists. So, you know, you got the spawns of Satan, and then you got the children of God, right? You got crested beings. So, yeah, this is important information, okay? So, and I merged with my higher self June 3rd this year. June 3rd. Merged with my highest self. It's very interesting and strange. Oh yeah, let me finish talking about what I was saying about the 144. So the 144 is like, it's a vibration. It's a certain vibration, and it's, you know, the vibration of tuned in to God's conscious frequency. Right? You have to be tuned into God's consciousness, God's frequency, and be able to like move through those layers, right, as an interdimensional being yourself, in order to receive, right? And then, but you have to also be doing, well, you're not going to get into that frequency until you do all this work. Like, you have to develop the competency and the capacity to be able to, you know, and descend into yourself in order to have to receive eternal life, right? You gotta be fit for this shit, you know. You're not gonna. This isn't like some imaginary thing. You know if it's happening to you, and then if it's happened to you, you know who it hasn't happened to. So, you know, this isn't like some delusional thing, right? This is very real. It's a very real, painful, very painful journey of healing. And it's likely, you know, the only reason you're in so much pain is because it's for you. Why am I in so much fucking pain? This is for you, right? That's the awakening, you know. That's your awakening, right? That's the spiritual awakening. It ain't no fucking peaches and fucking sunshine, I'll tell you that. It ain't no fucking rainbows and unicorns, motherfucker. This is fucking like painful fucking trauma. Okay, no matter how, you know, no matter what you've been through, you know, and just because you've been through a bunch of pain doesn't mean that this is for you either. I don't know. Yeah, I can't say who it's for, right? There's certain people who are here for certain reasons, and you go to certain levels and you have certain things you're doing on mission, right? and most of the time you don't even know what the fuck your mission is. So everyone's kind of like in different places, right? But it isn't like some imaginary process, okay? This is painful fucking shit, and you got to be fit to be able to handle it, and but you also have to, like, develop your fitness. So the 144 are these people who've, have done this work. They've opened up, they've awakened. Already awakened. But I think the likelihood is that you're already, like, awakened, right? So there's this cracking open, right, of this certain layers of yourself, and you have to, like, peck on the outside, chip away at the outside of your own insides, right, until you break through. And it's just odd, it's very odd. You have to feel out the process of this awakening, and there's not much I can say about it. It's very simple, right? Very difficult, though. It's very simple, but it's very difficult. It's not that comprehensive. Working through the layers, you start understanding, like, oh man, this is kind of comprehensive, like, because now I'm, like, working and I'm traveling through the interdimensional layers of self, the interdimensional layers of my being, right? Mental body, emotional body, physical body. I'm having, biological changes because I'm, like, changing my diet, I'm exercising, I'm going to these classes. My brain hurts from thinking so much. I never thought I could think this much ever in my life, like, I never thought, my brain hurts from doing all this fucking, like, logical bullshit, but it has to be both. Like, you have to develop the psychological framework, which is, the dissension and ascension within yourself before you can, like, ascend and descend up, into this heavenly body, right? So it's very comprehensive. Awakening is very comprehensive. People talk about ascension. It's like you almost talking about ascension isn't even. You don't need to talk about it. It's irrelevant, right? Because you don't even know what the fuck it is until it starts happening to you. And you're like, oh my, this is ascension, okay? And it's very difficult. It's very difficult to do. You have to be fit for the ascension, okay? So we're just going to continue talking about developing your consciousness in ascension. We're not talking in awakening, right? Talking about the ascension and the rebirth is almost irrelevant until it starts happening to you. And it only happens to a few. There's only a handful of us. So I'm kind of laughing at myself because, like, I'm seeing myself go through this process and I'm like, fuck, like, it's very difficult. People can have all, the fucking goddamn peanut fucking gallery has all these fucking opinions about it. And all these, they could say all this stuff about it. Some fake spiritualist on the internet and shit, some fucking moron. He's like, well, blah, 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 blah. He's just talking, don't know shit about the fuck he's talking about. Nothing. All speculation, all theory, all conjecture. He's got some bullshit belief he's fucking working with and shit. You gotta get rid of all that shit. You wanna do this work? Just get rid of all that shit right now. Forget everything you think you fucking know. That was, like, one of the first things that they told me when I came into treatment too. One of the best counselors I had. The best counselor I ever had. He was a Mason. He was a Mason. Freemason. He was a Freemason. Fucking coolest dude. He was like some old fucking like 70s fucking heroin addict pimp from Chicago. I called him the general. I called him the general. He was a general. He was a general. He was for real. He was the real deal. Only motherfucker I ever fucking met and known who was the real fucking deal. He was the real fucking deal. And he was a Freemason. Like our forefathers, the founding fathers of our country. The founding fathers of the earth. Okay, not just America. You want to know what Tartaria is? Okay. You know who the Titans are? You better fucking stop listening to all the fucking mainstream bullshit, because they don't know what the fuck they're saying, what the fuck they're talking about, until you start developing like your own psyche, your own psychic ability, your own consciousness, and like opening up your own being to receive that kind of, to comprehend that kind of energy and information. You're not gonna, that shit is, you're not, and I'm pointing at my computer, you're there's so much fucking trash, garbage out. You look at it, you know, and you have to look within. Right? You can't just be building up all this fake beliefs, all these bullshit beliefs upon your ego and shit. Forget everything you fucking believe, everything you think you fucking know, just wash it all away immediately. Cleanse yourself of that shit, because you're building on like a fucking false foundation. It's like a crumbling bricks, right? That's what authenticating sovereignty is. I started off creating that program, this program, with the whole idea and the whole principle and the whole concept being excavating the whole fucking janky foundation of crumbling fucking weak foundation of crumbling fake brick, and excavating a fucking hole for to lay a foundation of like real stone, good concrete, good brick. That's not gonna, it's not gonna fall, it's not gonna cave, it's not gonna collapse anytime soon, right? It's about building a whole new foundation of your life of which to build your life upon. That's authenticating. So that's the foundational principle that I built the whole foundation of, and that's transformation, right? You gotta excavate all that old bullshit, and then so that you have room to lay something concrete, right? Lay some real fucking stone, some real stone, right? Because the shit that they're using now is like fake stone, right? Not that, you know, it's like, you know, it's cheap concrete, you know. It's not even like good. It's not even like good concrete. It's not even like you know. We can make some good concrete. You know, the Romans made good concrete, right? The Greeks and the Romans made good concrete. So there's ways to make it that's good, but just, you know, it's besides the point. I'm just talking about, you know, some real fucking stone here, okay? Lay down some real fucking stonework. Lay down the foundation stones of actual foundation, which you can build a life that's never gonna fucking, it ain't gonna crumble, right? And you gotta be willing to go the long haul, make those sacrifices daily, day in and day out, and continuously moving all that crap, cleansing yourself, purifying yourself, detoxifying yourself, and doing all this work to like clear up that space and get yourself clean and clear, so you can breathe soul deep. Okay, when I was going through my fucking trauma, like I started doing doing yoga and meditation again, and like really, like when I first started my soul work, I started going down to the Himalayan Yoga and Meditation Center under Swami Rama And I don't, it wasn't necessarily the fact that it was Swami Rama. That didn't matter. It was just a place to go to start a practice and learn something. So I started doing that, and I was like doing the pranayamic breath work, and I was learning belly breathing. And I had to literally relearn how to breathe because all my breathing was like shallow and tight. And I had like, it was like a hole in my chest, and I was like carrying around this like stake in my heart, and my heart was like tearing. My heart was like ripping in half. My heart was ripped in half, chopped, just ripped to fucking shreds. So my heart has been like calloused up for so long, and deep fucking emotional turmoil, emotional pain, and it's physical too. It's like your heart has like literal strings in it, right? When you say this phrase, you're pulling on my heartstrings, right? It means you're like pulling the emotional, plucking the emotional chords of my heartstrings, right? You're playing my song, hearing my music. It's my soul singing in this nature, right? So when your heart is in trauma, it breaks those strings. When your heart is under stress and trauma, those strings in your heart break. And your heart breaks. So, it's very physical. Changes your voice too. Like my voice had changed like over the years, like my vocal cords, because there was like so much stress on like my vocal cords from all the physical stress, like the stress on my emotional body and my physical body and my mental body. It changes your brain, changes the brain chemistry, changes the way your brain functions, changes your vocal cords, like physical brain, talking about neuroplasticity and your neurological function, and the nerves in your gut to brain, your visceral nerve, and your gut to brain communication. Your the microbiome in your gut. So we have like a lot of gut problems. You're dealing with like sickness and shit. Causes like physical gut problems. Fucking ulcers from stress, right? You get ulcers from stress. So this is very physical. It's very real. Your physical body is directly tied to your spiritual body, your emotional body, but the spiritual essence of who you are, your soul, right? Mind, body, soul, and being. So, so even talking about like the numbers, the completion, the 3, 6, and 9. The 6 is like your physical body, right? It's physical plane, earthly deeds, things I'm transmitting, emitting, and communicating with my body, with my hands, with my physical being, with my soul, with my spirit are a clear channel, right? And that's the 144, right? So this is the 144, is be able to communicate this clear channel to the divine God and be able to receive this type of information, right? So this is the process, right? I'm talking about ascension, okay? Not just the awakening, right? Because these are two different things, right? They're tied together, right? But they're, there's levels, there's stages of awakening. Most people now are like stuck on stupid with some of the, the news and entertainment and media, and some of it's good. I follow some good stuff. I follow the real shit, I know where the real news is. Very well aware of what's going on in the world and how it directly relates to the spiritual matrix, right? So you get the legal matrix and you got the spiritual matrix. And that's what this authenticating sovereignty is. That's what I'm teaching. I'm teaching the spiritual matrix and recovery, right? And the legal matrix and law, right? Because it's all recovery and law. That's what I teach, recovery and law. Just summed up to two things, okay? But it's very comprehensive, okay? We're getting into the layers. I'm just walking through all the whole fucking layers, everything, right? And that's why I figured I'd just talk about the ascension real quick on the 10th, because this is part 10. Talking about my spiritual experiences, right? Because now I'm 369. My old life is dead. It's dead. I got the 322 on it. You know, it's kind of like you get the 411, right? I got the 322. So yeah, you'll start learning the numbers, you know. I think, you know, and it's hard because you're not going to be learning no fucking numbers until the time comes for you, right? Until your number's up. When your number's up, you know it, right? Because they're coming for you. And I mean they, all of them, good and bad. Fucked. Just complete fucked. Mind fuck. It's mind fuck. So, you know, you gotta be like spiritually acute, you know. Your psychic acuity has to be like fucking razor sharp, you know. So you gotta be fit for an ascension. You can't just be, you know, people talk about ascension, they talk about spirituality, they talk about spiritual shadow work, they talk about all this stuff, and they're just, you know, year after year after year, they're just like, oh, this and that, the other thing, and they're fascinated with it, and they have all this fucking, and then they're like, oh, I got all these certifications, and I got these degrees, and, you know, it's all this like fancy bullshit. Nothing. It's just nothing. It just means nothing, right? Until you put your soul on the line, right? You're not gonna do anything until your soul is fucking like, until you've poured your soul out onto the floor, you know, in front of a bunch of fucking pieces of shit that wouldn't piss on you if you were on fire. Wouldn't know, you know, they know everything about recovery but the first fucking thing. They know everything about spirituality but the first fucking thing. No, they don't know it. They know all these principles, but couldn't tell you how to fucking apply them in the first fucking thing that you need to know and act upon and do in your life, and, you know, put it in a way that just a fucking normal person can understand. Just a, you know, smartest motherfucker on the planet, dumb as shit. You know, you got these big fucking words. You know, I hate it when these motherfuckers come on and they're like, well, you know, they got these big fucking words and shit. How the fuck am I supposed to understand what the fuck you're saying if every fucking word you're saying I gotta go look up in a goddamn dictionary? And you're like, I gotta, like, you know, and you know, they're always some fucking like psychiatrist or some behavioral therapist or some like total fucking nutcase fucking spiritualist, you know, trying to sound smart. You ain't smart because you know all these fucking big ass words. You fucking dumb, just dumb as a boxer. I couldn't translate a fucking thing. Can't communicate a single fucking thing. You spent a decade, 15 fucking 20 years fucking, you know, learning shit, dancing around all this shit, you know what I mean, from running from your own fucking shadow. Like, you're just, these are demons, you know, they're possessed by the spirit of, like, you know, some materialistic fucking bullshit, you know. They ain't gonna tell you shit. You ain't gonna learn shit from these motherfuckers. I don't know. 97%, right? That's the percentile. 97% of them, garbage. You know, kind of like 7% junk DNA. yeah, they'll go fucking, they'll go, yeah, that's all junk. What? They own the scientists. These every fucking one of those scientists, they sold their fucking souls to the devil the moment they got their funding. The moment they got their employer, like they don't even know who they work for, right? They're you're like, who do you work for? Some company. You know, it's like some weird fucking scientist. Wuhan coronavirus lab, biological laboratory, right? Who do you work for? Wuhan coronavirus biological factory. Where did the coronavirus come from? Well, from the wet market 6 miles away. Where did the coronavirus come from, right? And that's even bullshit too. That's even bullshit too. There's layers to this shit. Right? Are you willing to go through the layers? Right? Are you willing to go through this multi-dimensional, multi-layer ascension? I'll tell you what, this is what, I mean, I'm just like traveling through these dimensions, like it's this density, right? And there's like all this pressure. Right? People talk about ascension symptoms and things of this nature, right? Yeah, most of those ascension symptoms are fucking, you're eating shit food, ringing in your ears, you got tinnitus, ringing in your head, right? You're seeing fucking blotches of light, it's like anxiety and fucking like, these are fucking like radioactive fucking, these are electromagnetic weapons, right? Fucking targeted. You're being targeted by fucking electromagnetic fucking energy weapons. Like you're eating food, you're eating that fast food and shit. I know people that are like spiritualists and they're like, oh, I went out to eat. We just stopped going out to eat. These are, I mean, you may be, in the spirituality and like doing that stuff, but you ain't doing, you're just a beginner, right? After 10 years of doing this work, you finally fucking got your diet cleaned up? After 10 fucking years? You talk about it all day long. You got a channel on it, and every channel you have, you're like, I got this dumb bitch who's waving this fucking wand around and shit. She's like, oh, we don't contend to all the archons. We don't consent to all the archons. Fuck out of here, you fucking total fucking. This is delusional shit, dude. You don't need. I mean, you could get a magic wand. I'm not saying there's something wrong with a magic wand. I was thinking about getting one. But your vessel is the magic wand. Okay, your mind, your body, and soul. Your staff. That's the staff of heaven, right? 33 vertebrae on your spinal cord. Right, so I can talk about the Kundalini awakening too. Maybe I should talk about the Kundalini awakening. Maybe I should talk about Kundalini yoga and Kundalini awakening. I've been practicing Kundalini awakening for I started 2021. I started doing Kundalini 2021. I've heard of it, like 2018, 2019, 2020, and I learned a thing or two. But then 2021, I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna start doing this every day. And because I came across this thing with Kundalini, I was looking up some more information on it. And I'm like, oh, here's a class. Here's someone teaching it. I'm like, let's take a look. Let's do something. Let's start doing it. Start doing it every day. Almost immediately. Because I've been practicing yoga for many years. So it's my 16th year practicing yoga. I mean, I'm a master. I am. I don't have any no hesitation on telling you that I'm a yoga master. Or whatever you call it. Whatever you want to call it. Absolute mastery. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about the ascension and speak a little bit more about how I documented just just the main points. And I'm gonna redo this because it's just kind of refine it a little bit looking back because I'm on 9/9 now. What's today? 27? Yeah, today's 27, ain't it? I didn't even look at the date today. It's either 26 or 27. So yeah, I merged with my higher self on June, and then 7/17 was a completion, marked my final the completion. But I'm still in like initiation. I'm still in my initiation process. Recalibration. I'm in like a recalibration. I've been recalibrating the last month. Inhabiting my avatar. Getting my body's like getting used to like my higher self, learning how to communicate. I'm communicating with a little bit more clarity. And then the 21st, the 19th, 20th, and 21st, 818, 81, 88, 818, 822. There was several things that occurred this month alone, and that was it was a initiation, recalibration, reversal. Because like something, I'm in the 8/8 right now. I'm in the 8. So the paradox is occurring within me. It's a very strange thing. Hard to know what to do, you know. And then the 822, I was like, I'm in full conscious control of my higher mind, like my higher mind connected to God's mind. The Eye of Horus. The Eye of Horus. The Eye of Horus. Because that was even back in May. God was telling me. It's April, May. Yeah, that was like April or May. Yeah, God was telling me. What was happening. But I'm still like initiating and kind of recalibrating. I'm still in this initiation process. going through the phases. I'm almost done. I'm pretty much. I'm almost done. I'm going into 9-9 now. I'm going into 369. Right, the final stage of completion. You know, I'll be done. I'll be done in September. But I'm already like into that next phase. Like I'm already like a month ahead. I've been a month ahead for at least a month now. Like I'm already into like next month. As opposed to, you know, last year I was like a month behind or whatever, you know. I was like, I couldn't see, you know, a day ahead of me, let alone a month. I was being like taken through this process. Essentially. All right, so that's about it. I thought my phone memory storage was gonna die out on me already, but and I thought I was gonna make it quick too, but I don't know. I think everything that I wanted to say was more than I thought. Right? So I'm just giving you some really giving you the jewels here. So yeah, and I'm still like kind of recalibrating still too right now. And I've been wanting to like share this too, but it's like share some of my experiences. But like I said, I've been cursed. I've been fucking like breaking all these fucking curses like every day. I got the fucking devil fucking, you know, like fucking hunting me, trying to hunt me down and shit. You got that devil and the fucking demons, demons of the highest fucking order. You know, these are, you're not. I'm here with these fucking, not the little ones. You know, although they show up sometimes, you know, the fucking flying monkeys and shit. And people call them flying monkeys. I don't know why they call them that, but I know exactly why they call them flying monkeys. So yeah, there's a lot that I could say about the awakening and, you know, everything. There's a lot that I can say about everything. I have accumulated a vast wealth of knowledge and experience, so I only got so much time, you know. I'm already at fucking like an hour. You know, I'll go another 20 minutes, really. But I think I'm out. I'm out for